I'm James and this is Karen, and we work for the Nature Conservancy in Washington. One of our greatest conservation challenges in Washington is bringing back the salmon to great thriving abundance. And we can do that by regrowing our big trees and forests along our rivers. And today, Karen and I are going to talk to you about what makes a healthy river and healthy habitat for salmon so that they can thrive in our rivers on the Olympic Peninsula. We're going to build a healthy river where salmon could spawn and represent that in one of these bowls. So what salmon need are lots of clean rocks, fist-sized rocks. They need the rocks to make their nests and to lay their eggs. They need lots of cold, clean water. They need water that's about 55 to 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And a salmon will come back to the same place where she was hatched to spawn her eggs. So here we have a salmon, and this is a coho salmon. This coho salmon has about several thousand eggs. This salmon is about 4 years old when she spawns. For the first year of her life, she lives in the river. She comes out and she's about the size of a pinky, and she lives in the wetlands and she lives in the side channels wherever the flow of the river isn't too strong. After about a year, she's about this big, and she swims out to the Pacific Ocean. And she swims up the coast of Washington, up the coast of British Columbia, all the way to the Gulf of Alaska, where she lives for 3 years. She grows big, she gets to be about 12 pounds, and she comes back after 3 years. So she spawns, and if you see in this bowl, you can swirl that around. The nest that she's made creates spaces for her eggs to settle into.
Now, should I be worried because these eggs are falling down in the cracks of the rocks?
No, so what she does is she swims in and she uses her tail and she turns sideways and she flaps her tail and she piles these rocks up into a mound. She wants those spaces so that when she lays the eggs, they nestle down into those spaces. Sometimes these nests can be as big as a Volkswagen Beetle parked in the river. And they do that so the eggs are protected from the flow of the river.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as the water flows down, the eggs are held in the nest, and the water flows through the nest. So that's exactly what a healthy salmon nest looks like. Now we'll do a unhealthy river, and we'll see that there aren't any rocks, there's no place for her to make her nest. This river needs some water.
Wait, why aren't there any rocks?
Well, this is a river that's been heavily degraded. The forests have all been cut down around this river. And what happens is the water comes off the land into the river and creates flows that are so strong that the rocks get swept away in the flows. Now, in this river, there aren't any trees to slow down the flow of the water. And so you end up with a riverbed that's either just hard pan rock or sand. When the salmon comes to spawn in this river, if this is where she's from, she comes back to spawn here, and there's no nest to make, there are no rocks to make her nest,
look at that.
and there's no protection for her eggs. Salmon eggs take 90 days to incubate, and over the winter in the Northwest, when the rains come down and the rivers flow strong, these eggs will wash away.
So
and
when is she spawning? She's spawning in October?
She spawns in October or November.
Which is when all of our rains begin.
It's when all of our rains come.
Rivers start really flowing.
The rivers start flowing with very cold water and strong flows.
And so those eggs are just swirling around. They're moving. They're going down the river, aren't they?
Those eggs will get washed right away. In a healthy system, if we start to cut down all those trees, we start to create landslides and we start to create sediment flows into the river. And when that happens...
So if you cut the trees down after she spawned, and then we're going to get landslides.
That's right. The trees hold the soil. When the trees are cut down, the steep mountainous bluffs that we have in the Olympic Peninsula can create landslides. And small rock and sediment can come in and it suffocates her eggs.
Oh, they're all down there.
And we talked about how the rainy season is in the winter after she's spawned. So these rivers are more susceptible to these large mass wasting events, these large landslides, after the salmon have already spawned. So the eggs are in jeopardy when we have systems where there aren't big trees by the river.
Okay, what can they do?
So with your support, we can regrow these most important forests along our most important salmon rivers. And we can ensure the protection of these forests so that we have healthy habitat for salmon for future generations.
Wonderful. Thanks, James.
Thanks,
everyone.
Karen.